Authenticity. If you don't have a daily word and you'd like one, we have some that are in the lobby. And for me, it's a way to start my day in prayer and grounding. And it's uncanny how many times the daily word will talk about exactly what I need to hear. So it's just a little funny thing. Let's see. Am I at my talk part now? I think I am.
Yes.
Okay. I did the script, so Sarah is up with her brother handling her dad's affairs, so I did the scripts and the slides, so if there's a problem with the scripts and the slides, it is all my fault. So, my talk today is called Tending Our Garden. I was reading an article when I was back in Michigan last week about how to tend a garden. And it got me thinking about when I was a child. My Nana and Dad took great pride in their gardens. They grew lettuce and green beans, melons, tomatoes, herbs, green peppers. And each year, my dad would till the soil with a shovel. As kids, we were called to help out by going through the soil. Now understand, they didn't have tillers like we have now. We have those big electric tillers that till the garden. No, this was done shovelful by shovelful. And as kids, our job was to go through the shovelful, pick out the weeds, toss them aside, and then put the dirt back in the garden. So the soil was very important. The darker and richer it was, the better the yield. The expression tend your garden originates from a metaphor popularized by the Roman poet and philosopher Marcus Aurelius. In his personal writings, Meditations, Aurelius encourages self-reflection and the conscious cultivation of one's character. He compares our minds and our lives to gardens, suggesting that we must actively nurture them to flourish. As I think back and I think about it, my life is like a garden where the universe has tilled my soil. Can you imagine your life in this way? The shovel of the universe pierced my being with the death of people I love, divorce, disappointments, failures, relationships with others that didn't work out the way I thought they would. Over and over again, that shovel just dug into me, sometimes to the point where I was in agony. I was the soil, and I must have needed tilling. My job was to pick through each hurtful shovelful and pick out the weeds. Without being a victim of the shovel or the universe, I get to discern what is good and to keep as a memory or a cherished experience, and what is a weed to toss aside. Now I have a funny story about weeds. My Nana, who was from Lansing, Ohio, that's where she came when she came from Italy. My Nana was a big, thick Italian woman. You can't imagine it, can you? Okay. I wonder where I get it from. I actually get it from both sides, but Nana and Grandma, but this story's about Nana. Nana came over to our house for dinner one night. And in the garden, there was a head of lettuce that my mom said, oh, just pick that head of lettuce. And Nana said, no, no, no. That lettuce has 2 more weeks to go. We can't have that lettuce tonight. So Nana decided she was going to make what we in Italian families call radice. Radice is dandelion leaves. So I was 8, and Nana was old enough to know better. To wear her summer shift, she should have worn underwear under the summer shift. And there was Donna on the front lawn, bending over with a paring knife, digging out the dandelion greens on the front lawn, showing her culo to the whole neighborhood. I was mortified. And I ran in to tell my mom, Mom, Nana's showing her culo to the whole neighborhood while she's digging up the radice. I hate radice. Why do we have to have radice? And my mom said, well, that's just Nana. And strangely, I accepted that, but I wouldn't eat the ladice that night. That was my protest. It's one of my funniest memories that I have of my Nana. And that was kind of what they did. They went to the front lawn when the lettuce wasn't big enough, and they dug it all up, and then they washed it off, and it appeared on your dinner table that night. As a child, I loved dandelions. I loved it when they would morph into those puffy balls. And you know, when they got old and they're that puffy balls and you blow on them and you scatter your wishes. You also scatter dandelion seeds all over, but that's okay. More for Nana to dig up next time. The dandelion was used to tell if you like butter or not. You would rub the dandelion on someone's chin, and if it turned yellow, they liked butter. Every time that yellow pollen turned the skin yellow, so everybody likes butter. I like butter. I think we all like butter. But I know this, dandelions are magical to me. So when the soil is tilled and properly fertilized, yes, I said fertilized, that means, as our friend Maria Felipe would call it, caca. We all have caca added to our soil, and it makes the soil grow richer and full of nutrients, they say, but it still stinks, doesn't it? Am I right? So, metaphysically, the word sowing from the revealing word is every thought is a seed and brings forth after its own kind, right? A thought held in mind brings after its own kind. We say that a lot here. Every carnal thought or thought of selfishness in any form is a seed sown to the flesh. It brings forth error and brings up flesh consciousness. Okay, I have an issue with flesh consciousness. If anybody else, you know, you get human sometimes. Yes, we're spirit, but we are also human beings, and sometimes we get into our flesh consciousness. And usually those are thoughts that are a little self-absorbed, a little in error. So it brings forth error. The fruit of this sowing is death and corruption. That's what the revealing word says. Now, death does not mean, we think metaphysically, so beyond the physical. Death can mean the end of something. Death can mean an idea that I had that I thought was great, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work out. Every spiritual thought is a seed sown to the spirit. Spiritual thoughts feed and nourish and build up the spiritual man. The result is life and immortality to the whole man, spirit, soul, and body. When a Pharaoh's tomb was opened, some grains of wheat were found that had lain there for 3,000 years. So think about that. They were in that tomb for 3,000 years. Had they been planted and their yield replanted for all of that 3,000 years, the wheat could have fed all the people of the earth. But the wheat fed no one because it was not put to use. The real missing our mark is to never plant our seeds, to never work or sow in our garden these hopes and dreams that are deep within our being. Now, Jesus taught through the parable of the sower. Jesus used this parable to explain to his followers and the disciples how there are different responses to the words in the Bible or the teachings of Jesus Christ. The sower in the parable is Jesus, and the seed is the word. So there were 4 types of soil. The soil represents our consciousness, and we may have a little of each type. It may also be that we have overcome some of each type. The first type of ground is hard like a pathway, and the seed cannot sprout or grow because it becomes snatched up instantly by the birds. What are birds in the Bible? Do you know? Birds in the Bible are our thoughts. So sometimes these divine seeds come to us, these divine ideas come to us, and we put them on cement. And the birds come down, those thoughts come down in our mind, and they swoop down. Just eat them up. How many times do we allow our mind to talk us out of our heart's desire? We hear, but we don't listen and take it in. An example of this, we have an individual who hears the word of the truth. This person I'm thinking about comes to church and likes the truth teaching, but took it no further than that. Never took it into their heart, never took it in. They came on Sunday, and on Sunday it was good. And the rest of the week, it just fell away. The second type of the ground is stony. The seed was able to plant and begin to grow. However, it couldn't grow deep roots and withered in the sun. Life gets rocky sometimes, and often we cannot tell the weed from the seed, so we pluck out everything, including the seed we wanted to grow. We quit, we give up. It's too hard to look at our shadows. It's too hard to look at ourselves. I don't want to be awake anymore. This is hard. Remember? Spiritual awakening and spiritual work is not easy work. It is tilling the soil. We don't always like to be self-aware and admit we need to shift or we need to change something within us. Other times we make a huge shift and we chemicalize and we get sick and we go, well, I'm never going to do that again. Tending our garden is not light and easy work. Sometimes we have to do that heavy lifting of the ways that we were taught how to be. When I was home this last time, I realized what a caretaker and a people pleaser I was taught to be. My first order in life, take care of your little sister. When she fell off the slide and needed 10 stitches in her head, there was hell to pay for me at home, even though it was just a childish accident and I was 9. But it set me on a need to please path and get approval from others. And that's what I became in life until ministerial school. When I was asked to look at my patterns and all my stories about how I took care of others. So if I'm not pleasing you today or working hard to get your love, please realize that for me, this is a form of spiritual growth. And I do in fact love and care, but I don't carry it like a big bag of caca for my garden. I invite you to ask yourself, what parts of your soil within have you allowed to be hardened and crushed over? The things they told you to do and be, is that your authentic self, or are you trying to please others? There's only one presence in the universe and in my life, God. And it is God who I hope to please. That third type of ground was thorny, and although the seed could plant and grow, it couldn't compete with the number of thorns that overtook it. Jesus said that this soil represented those who hear the word of truth, but use it selfishly to get things of the world. They are so materially minded that their greed chokes out the truth. It chokes out those divine seeds. Jesus referred to this as the deceitfulness of riches. There's nothing wrong with having abundance, hear me clearly, and wealth, but we should not let it deceive us. Money and things of the world cannot make us happy. We may have some exciting and pleasurable experiences, but that's going to be all. In his gospel, Mark refers to this type of individual as lusting after things, or me in my 20s. The word of truth cannot grow in this type of consciousness. An individual comes to church hoping and praying for prosperity, for more money. One day, in a time of meditation, Spirit says to the man, "Give and you shall receive." But this is too much for him. He says to Spirit, he doesn't have enough to give, but when he's rich, he will give. Spirit says again, "Give and you shall receive." This is the way, but it's the human ego. It might take longer to realize it and accept it. And this applies to all those who study truth. We cannot use giving as a means just to get wealth. Our efforts must be unselfish. We must truly take God into our lives and allow, always let light open the way. Allow, always let light open the way. That's not mine, it's Tony Baines. So have you kept up with the reading of your mind? Are you letting Spirit lead us? Or are you lusting after things or comparing your garden to the one next door? Look at that garden over there. The fourth ground was good soil that allowed the seed to plant deep, grow strong, and produce fruit. The good ground. This represents those who hear the word of truth, accept it unselfishly, and begin to bear fruit. In the good ground, there are still variations, maybe 30%, 60%, 100%, but it means that the good ground can always be further developed. But we should not fail to realize that what seems to be negative and pessimistic to the human ego is that consciousness develops slowly, and it often requires us to be uncomfortable. Sometimes the seed poking out of the soil might be uncomfortable for the soil, but it's natural if we allow the seeds to grow slowly at its own pace without judging ourselves for its slow growth. Now we're at the point of talking about how we nourish our garden. We nourish our garden, we can create positive thoughts. Our minds are like gardens, capable of producing beautiful blossoms and thorny weeds. By consciously choosing to focus on our positive thoughts and gratitude and optimism, we create that fertile ground for personal growth, for our seeds of divinity. We can actively weed out negativity, self-doubt, limiting beliefs. We can nourish emotional well-being. For me, how I nourish my emotional well-being is to stop people-pleasing, show up as my authentic self, warts and all. Our emotions are like delicate flowers that need care and attention. Learning to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions is crucial. We can practice self-awareness, developing healthy coping mechanisms, meditation and prayer, and seeking support when we need. Just as a gardener waters their plants, we must nourish our emotional well-being and understand our feelings and where they fit in our story. They are feelings, and most, like a good summer storm, they're gonna pass. We can take action. That's Unity's fifth principle. We take action in our lives. A garden requires consistent effort and tending. Personal growth and expanding our consciousness is an ongoing process that demands action. This means setting goals, working towards them, making choices that align with our values and our aspirations. It's about actively co-creating our lives rather than passively letting them unfold. A beautiful garden does not just happen by itself. It takes a lot of work. Today I ask you to consider your garden, your consciousness, and ask yourself, what shape is it in? Could our garden need a little tending? And I'm gonna leave you with this. Wait, let's find the clicker. Oop. So I want us to say this all together. So your life is a garden, say it all together. Your life is your garden, your thoughts are the seeds. If your life isn't awesome, you've been watering the weeds.